Did you know? Studio Ghibli co-creator Hayao Miyazaki first envisioned Princess Mononoke in the late 1970s. He would draw sketches of a princess and a beast living in the woods, but wouldn't fully explore the idea for nearly 2 decades. Production on the film began in 1994 and took just over 3 years to complete. Miyazaki was reluctant to start the project, but his producer told him that he was getting old and this might be his last chance to make an action movie. It was a grueling process for Miyazaki and his team, who crafted nearly 144,000 hand-drawn cells and computer-generated images for the movie, and that's not counting the cells that weren't used. Though he never actually counted how many he drew, it's estimated that Miyazaki worked on about 80,000 of them himself, and he admits to overseeing the creation of practically every cell and image. Models of characters were posted on bulletin boards within the animation department of the studio. This gave artists a reference point and made sure that the film's visuals were consistent. Everything was meticulously designed. Even the arrows had models for artists to follow. Though most of Princess Mononoke was drawn with traditional pen, pencil, and paint, approximately 10% of the film contains digital imagery. Miyazaki made sure to never exceed that percentage, mainly due to his own preferences and the traditional roots of the studio. However, Miyazaki knew that he had to take advantage of the new technology. Computer-generated imagery would only ever complement the traditional animation and help to achieve a live-action feel. This resulted in Princess Mononoke looking and feeling a lot more fluid than other animated films of the time. Miyazaki took his ideas from the late 70s and made an illustrated book that became the basis for Princess Mononoke. However, concepts from the book would also make their way into other Ghibli films such as My Neighbor Totoro. So when the team went back to work on Princess Mononoke with the intention of adapting it to film, they found it to be full of worn concepts and extremely outdated. This draft was ditched and the team started anew, taking only a few elements from the original. Miyazaki initially struggled with the character of Jiko Bo and wanted Jiko to have several different occupations. Miyazaki said that he made the character of Jiko Bo without knowing what kind of role he would play. He could be a spy, a henchman of some religious group, or a ninja, or he could actually be a very good guy. In the end, he became a character who has all of those elements. Miyazaki always wanted the film's main character, Ashitaka, to be far from a typical hero. He was meant to be someone who fights a lonely war and almost never gets thanked for his actions. The original story had samurais fighting against peasants, which deterred Miyazaki. He later elaborated, saying, "A typical top-knot-haired samurai character swinging a sword. Just the thought of it discourages me. There's nothing new or moving in there." The project was met with many changes and challenges, but things finally started to take shape when the studio took a trip looking for inspiration. They visited the ancient forests of Yakushima and the mountains of Shirakami-Shangshi in northern Honshu. These forests were significant, as they influenced the setting of one of Miyazaki's earlier films, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Though Princess Mononoke was progressing well, the storyboards for its ending were only finished mere months before the Japanese premiere. This was mainly due to Miyazaki famously making films without a script and creating storyboards on the fly. The film serves as an allegory for man's reckless consumption of the natural world, but Miyazaki worried that this pro-green message would make the film seem boring. Though he was concerned, Miyazaki overcame his worries and even found time to pay tribute to his favorite directors. He did this with a tight-knit frontier town known as Iron Town, which closely resembles the settlement of Tombstone from John Ford's classic film My Darling Clementine. Miyazaki made the townsfolk a group of outcasts and oppressed minorities, something that didn't typically appear in Japanese movies. Irontown is also based on Okuizimo, Japan. The town of Okuizimo was an early adopter of Tatara furnace iron making, the same kind featured in Princess Mononoke. Iron makers in ancient Japan also worshipped Kanayago, the goddess of Tatara, who was sometimes illustrated riding a fox, reminiscent of San riding a wolf. Miyazaki drew heavily from Japanese and Western folklore while creating his own myths and legends. San draws inspiration from the story of Remus and Romulus, the founders of Rome who were raised by a wolf and a woodpecker. Some other notable inspirations are the novel Kim by Rudyard Kipling and the film The Wild Child by François Truffaut, where a young boy is found in the wilderness. Adapting the film into English was a difficult process. It took an incredible amount of effort to get right, partly due to its lengthy 134-minute runtime. Director Quentin Tarantino was originally offered to oversee the film's localization into English. However, Tarantino said the producer should contact fantasy author Neil Gaiman instead. Gaiman decided to fully immerse himself in Miyazaki's creation, even going as far as to research mythological creatures and settings. Gaiman said, "I found myself reading piles of books with titles like The History of Japanese Folklore. I wanted to try to understand where these characters, many of which are really from Miyazaki's imagination but are inspired by the essence of Japanese mythology, came from." Once he completed his research, Gaiman vowed to make the film come alive for American audiences and not come across as a dubbed-over movie. Gaiman knew he had to nail each of the characters' voices and stay true to their personalities. For example, Ashitaka talks in a very formal way without using any slang, while Jigo is very crude. In the original Japanese version of the film, Jigo is very rude and blunt, which is shown by him saying a bowl of soup tastes like water, a comment which may seem fairly tame to Westerners but would be hugely insulting in Japan. In the English version, Jigo instead says that the soup tastes like donkey piss, to show how outspoken he is. Most of the American cast signed onto the project because of how much they loved the original Japanese movie. Claire Danes, who voiced Princess Mononoke, jumped at the opportunity to play a strong female character and was captivated by Miyazaki's vision. Danes was also surprised at how much effort it took to voice an animated character, especially considering that this was her first time doing so. She later said, "It was surprisingly emotional for me. I came in thinking it would be very simple, and it turned out to be a very intense and moving experience." Danes naturally played off Gillian Anderson, who portrayed Mononoke's wolf mother Moro. Interestingly, however, the two never worked together in person. The film's budget was massive for an animated feature, costing around $23.5 million to make, but luckily it made back almost 7 times that amount during its theatrical run. It also won several prizes, including Best Picture at the 1997 Japanese Academy Awards. Miyazaki went into retirement after directing the film, and even claimed that Princess Mononoke would be his last project in the industry. During this retirement, Miyazaki would take a vacation with his family, friends, his friend's young daughter, and her friends, where he would find the inspiration for his next creation, Spirited Away, which would pull him out of retirement. If you're watching this video, you're probably a fan of anime, and if you're looking for an easy way to watch your favorite anime, Crunchyroll might be for you. Crunchyroll have hit anime like Erased, Digimon Adventure Tri, and My Love Story, and they're offering a 30-day free trial of their premium service to Did You Know movie viewers. With Crunchyroll Premium, you can watch episodes within an hour after they air in Japan, and it's all ad-free. You can watch them in your living room on your PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Wii U, or on your desktop computer, or even your mobile devices. Everything on Crunchyroll is officially licensed and helps support the hardworking creators back in Japan. So if you want easy access to the latest and greatest anime, try out this special 30-day free trial of Crunchyroll Premium by going to crunchyroll.com/DYKM or by clicking the link in the description below. Make sure you subscribe for more facts and trivia, and if you liked this video, give it a like. And hey, my name's Lee. Me and a couple friends run the Arcadia channel over on YouTube. We have a ton of great stuff coming down the pipeline. Movie analyses, top 10s, reviews, all sorts of stuff like that. So head on over and check that out. I promise you're not going to be disappointed. And for now, if you want to watch my review of Raven Blade, a game that doesn't exist, click the annotation right there. That's right, you heard me correctly. I reviewed a game that doesn't even exist. It's a walk down memory lane. It'll make sense if you just watch the video. I promise. Don't worry about it.